Got my heated jacket on. It's a bit chilly today. Bit of ice on the car windscreen this morning. Not that I had to go out. But anyway, how you doing, everybody? I just thought I'd grab a coffee and come out and just do a quick video on talking about IT, really, IT, and whether I think it's worth getting into in 2024. So this could be for somebody that's kind of looking at that kind of crossroads in life, or starting out in their career, and it could be useful to you, could be helpful, but kind of before I get into it, before I get into the reasons what I think anyway. Everybody's different, you know. Everybody's got their own opinions on whether it's right for them or not. But yeah, when I started out in IT back in, I don't know, early 90s or whatever, it was very different. It was we didn't have any of this. We didn't have internet, for one thing. Email was just starting out. Everything was running on physical servers, i.e. they call it tin. So you had these, like, you know, servers and big boxes, essentially, in your server rooms, etc., etc. And everybody worked in the office. So there was none of this working from home. I mean, working from home back then was reserved for kind of management exec, really. And we had this old, well, at the time it was quite good, this dial back system where you would call up and it would dial you back. So the phone company, so you wouldn't be paying the bill, essentially. And it was very slow and cumbersome, and but at the time it worked, and it was quite, you know, quite a good way for certainly for me to be able to dial in and do things, you know. And also, everything was just so much simpler. Everything was like it was Windows NT back in the day, and you know, Active Directory was very much a new thing, and we had on-premise Exchange servers, and networks. Everything was networked. Very much one of my jobs as a network engineer was to keep everything up to date and to make everything faster, which I did really enjoy that role. Back in the days when I worked in the cooperative, it was Plymouth and South West Cooperative as it was known then, and it's really interesting actually, because we were at Shaw and I were at Home Bargains the other day. That was it. We were looking at Christmas decorations. I was looking to get a bit of tinsel for the spider, and it's really funny because I bumped into a chap that I used to work with at the co-op, and he worked in what was it? Well, he was a photographer, so he would kind of photograph all the products and whatever, and part of the marketing team, you know. And we were chatting for ages, and you know, it's really funny. He hasn't changed a bit. Do you know what I mean? And we used to, when we worked in Plymouth City Centre, we would always go over the Noah's Ark for a drink, and it was lovely. Do you know what I mean? And or down to Wetherspoons for a little meal or whatever, or just a walk around town. you know, it was back in those days, it was just buzzing. It was lovely, vibrant city, you know. Yeah, it was a nice catch up with him, and just to kind of, I think one of the key things he mentioned was that, do you know what, we had a really good team there. He said, really good crew, you know. It was everybody just worked so well together. It was fantastic. It was the glory days, you know. And yeah, I miss those days, to be honest. And I'm now 51, obviously. I've been working in IT for a long time. And it's changed so much. It's changed so much. There's a lot more automation. Now we don't really have so much working in the office, but it depends on who you work for. If you work for potentially, let's say if you worked at a hospital in the NHS or something, doing IT for that local, for, you know, I dare say that there's going to be a lot of call there still for, you know, a hands-on, on-site presence, you know. So there are some companies still around that do require an on-site presence, and, you know, but here in Devon, it's few and far between. That's why I kind of work remotely. But those kind of on-site roles, it's something I left a long time ago, to be honest. And I think for me, do you know what, guys? I am so glad. I am so glad I am at the end of, or close to the end, I would say, of my career. You know, I can see the light at the tunnel, at the end of that tunnel. The tunnel's still very dark, but I can see it. It's coming. You know, and I am so relieved to be getting out of it, because for me it's changed so much to a point where it's just not enjoyable anymore. And it's just because for me it's very much, you know, the path I've gone down. It's, well, did go down. It was very much code. Everything was code. Infrastructure is code. So instead of having all these physical systems, you would have all these virtualized systems were spun up using a line of code. I say a line of code, it's a bit more complicated than that. Using, you know, things like automation tools. A typical automation tool would be something like Terraform or tiramisu, for instance. I know it's tiramisu. Isn't that a cake? Yes, it is a cake. And I had some the other day. It was lovely, but no, it's a platform that enables you to spin up environments. It's like, oh God, you know, it's just so hands off these days. So for me, I'm glad I'm out of it. I'm glad I'm getting out of it. And to be honest, I'm glad I'm out of the whole fixing stuff. You know, I'm no longer an engineer. I'm no longer doing infrastructure as code, DevOps. Oh, I'm glad I'm so out of that. I'm just, you know, literally just doing a basic little job, repeatable tasks, nothing complicated. I guess to somebody that is not in IT would still look at my stuff and go, oh my God, I don't understand that, you know. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it's not complicated at all, but, you know. And I must admit, if I woke up tomorrow and I was 20 again, and I still feel 20 in my mind, by the way, but if I did wake up, I wouldn't go back to, I wouldn't do IT again. For me, I would look at doing something a bit more kind of outdoorsy, a bit more, I don't know, bushcraft, maybe survival. making a shelter out of being in a woodland, making a shelter, life skills, kind of learning how to survive, learning how to, if you were homeless, learn how to survive, foraging, that sort of thing. Those skills I think are valuable. Certainly not CDT or some of the lessons I had at school. I mean, my days, it was it's just absolutely pointless, absolutely pointless. But here the question is it worth it? And it's pros and cons. It's down to you. It's everybody's different. Everybody's going to have different opinions. This is just my opinion. It's not something I would go into. But if you like being indoors, you like being I think IT is great for introverts, because you get to lock yourself in a dark room and just shut out the world. And if you're into that, and you're into that kind of technology-focused environment where you can just code, then yes, definitely, you'll love it, because there is so much scope and so many decisions, so many things you can do in IT. There's cybersecurity, there's the cloud systems, coding, automation, DevOps. So you can do a little bit of development and operation side. They come hand in hand. Robotics, AI, forensics, that sort of stuff. And also things like in the security realm, things like working for organizations that cybersecurity, that sort of thing. There's so much scope. It's overwhelming, really. Sometimes you look at some of the things that we've had to do in the past. I've had to learn in the past. So many different platforms. So many. It's the more you can learn, the better, really, I think. But for me, I'm glad I'm at the end of that journey, really. Did I regret it? No, not at all. Not at all. Absolutely not. Do you know what? It's one of the things that I'm really chuffed about. I'm really excited and glad, privileged that I started my IT career when I did. The birth of the internet, the internet, the ISP startups. When we started using like TCP/IP, for instance, I was there, and when networking really started to become a thing, I was right at the forefront of that and taking advantage of all of those technologies and building them into our offices. And it was fabulous. I loved it. When we had when I worked at the Co-op days, we had ISDN. Oh my God, do you remember that? What does it stand for, ISDN? International Standard Digital Network, something like that. But we then moved them over to when we got rid of ISDN and we installed MPLS. That was incredible. The speed difference. Wow. And we had to go around all the stores, all our outlets, and install these Cisco 801 routers, which are just little, boxes, look like a book, a few lights on the front, that sort of thing. Plug them in, and you had to change the IP addressing of the system, for all the devices to be able to, you know, connect through the router, and it was great. It was, but when you know, when you finished that install, you know, the thanks and the excitement on the managers' faces, and the people were like, oh my God, it's so quick. You know, they would go into email and it would just be like there, you know, and they would be excited to see you walk in through the door. Because back then we were kind of, I don't know, we were kind of gods. We were IT gods at the time. And, you know, you felt empowered, you felt fulfilled. Fulfillment back then was massive. And you got thanks. And people were always happy to see you. Yeah. The good old days, eh? But now it's just now there's just nothing. It's all gone. You know, my daily job now is, you know, it's bollocks compared to what it used to be. Sorry, but I just, you know, what else can I say? It's such a difference. It's I mean, it hasn't happened overnight. It's taken a long time, obviously. Well, I find myself thinking about the past a lot, you know, reminiscing about those good times. Often, you know, Shah and I, you know, because we come from very similar backgrounds. Shah started off in Royal Mail, doing desk side, that sort of thing, and she remembers going into the office and everybody clapping, you know, hey, here she is, kind of thing, and I'm grateful, and so grateful I was able to experience that, those golden years, you know. But anyway, so, you know, is it worth getting into? Yes and no. For me, absolutely. You know, I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. But that's just my opinion, because of the way it's gone, and it's a very cutthroat industry now. If you look at the tech industry in the States, it's not great. A lot of people losing their jobs. And who knows what AI will bring to the table. But if you're an AI developer, you know, you probably do really well. But anyway, hope you find that video useful and helpful. And for those of you that are at the start of your journey, the start of your career, you know, feel free to leave a comment on what you think. What's your thoughts? Yeah, I'd be really interested to know. If any of you younger people out there. So yeah, that's about it for this video, everybody. Oh, get back in. It's a bit chilly, isn't it? Mind you, it's got a bit of sun, so it's not too bad. But it's still what it means. When it gets sunny, it gets cold, and it warms up and then rains. So yeah, as ever, guys, I shall look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye for now.